You know, this time of the year is very special. I understand that we gave towards for the tots, and that's wonderful. But what are we going to give ourselves? Don't look at this right now because I'm not even sure we're going to get to this today. I feel it's very important that a couple of things needs to be identified. So many times, Sis brought it up, we try to hide what's really going on in our lives. It's not that we're always embarrassed. It's not that we just don't want other people to know. We just don't know how to handle it sometimes. It could be an embarrassment or something like that. I don't know why people keep quiet, but I have learned that this church family, I can pretty much say anything and I feel comfortable talking to you about it. Whenever I took this pastoral position, I took it without a salary because I have a full-time job. God has blessed me tremendously with a wonderful job and a job that will allow me to do certain things. Now, with that being said, I also I do refereeing. I only do basketball, and I do it mainly because it's the only exercise I get. I have decided that I will finish this season, but I will not do it next year. Now, Brother Robert, why are you telling me this? Well, there's reasons why, and I think I think you can relate to it. All right? Obviously, you know how the schools are going. All right? And I don't know, for the people that's been coming to this church for years, I have always just spilled my guts with you and told you how the fans and the coaches and the players and everybody are. And I have to say that it's gotten worse. But so has the world. So has your problems. I mean, my problems are kind of minute to yours. But what I can't understand and what I can't tolerate anymore is to be associated in that kind of atmosphere because it brings me down. There's so much negative. All right, it's supposed to be focusing on the kids, and all of you know how I feel about kids. All right, they are number one. They are our future. All right? But I have always had the fans and coaches against you. All right? But your co-officials on the floor, we consider it a team. Okay? And the team is supposed to have your back. All right? And I have seen a shift in that aspect of it where it happened to me this week, but I've seen it happen to other referees too. And I just cannot associate that way anymore. I can't get behind the pulpit on Sunday after being inundated with that kind of atmosphere all week. All right? We're short-handed, so therefore, less numbers, still the same amount of games, so you have to cover them. Where I only used to referee twice a week, now it's 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 days a week. And then I've got to study, I've got responsibilities. But the most important thing is how it affects me as a person and how I treat people. And I can't very well stand up here and say, you know what, you need to open up. You got a church family, they care about you, they pray about you and everything like that. So I'm not asking you to pray for me, but I am asking you to pray for the circumstances, because it seems like Satan's getting his foot in everything these days. He's not holding back on anything. Now with that, I'm sorry?
I said he's leaving his thread.
Yes, and he's leaving his footprints. Now, I'm not a quitter. I don't like to give up on things, but I know when God is directing me in a different way. I need to spend more time studying, more time praying, more time just because true happiness comes whenever I'm with y'all. Now, I know we've got specials today, and I know we've got specials next week also. Okay? And you know what really just touches my heart? Is people are happy and excited. Brother Johnny, he was up here singing and everything like that. When you have a purpose, there's just a special glow about you. All right? And then when you're doing it for the Lord and you have a purpose, there's just a heightened feeling in that. All right? And I just see that with a lot of you. All right? So I know we're on the brink of something special. All right? We've got some new music coming, new system coming, and everything like that, that I really feel that's going to bring us to the next level. All right? And as you, as the congregation, you should ask, well, why are we so small in numbers? Well, I can tell you what the Lord instructed me. All right? Is if we had a big church, all right? If we had 60, 80, 100, all right? Big numbers for this church, all right? The changes that are about to be made and the ministries that are about to be birthed, it would be very difficult for that to happen with that many numbers at one time. Because what you're seeing is churches with even bigger numbers and smaller numbers, they're splitting. All right? So I really think that this is the perfect time for these ministries to be birthed, people to step into new roles, and things to be taught and learned. But don't be fooled. Something great's going to happen. There's going to be a growth. There's going to be some things that not everybody's going to agree with. But what we can all agree on is God needs to be in control. All right? So whether we sing a contemporary, an old-fashioned, Southern gospel, all the above, just remember, if God's part of it, it's okay. All right? There's going to be some growing pains. All right? But that's great. How else are you going to learn? There's going to be some mistakes, but how else are you going to learn? All right? We had a bunch of disciples. They made mistakes. All right? They betrayed. They sinned. But in the end, God had their back. So God's going to have our back. All right? So whatever your part is, or whatever ministry God is birthing in you, and you're finally accepting it, do it with all your heart and all your might. Don't worry about other people judging. If you know this is from God, go into it with everything you got. Because we don't have time, all right, anymore. All right? You got to be ready. John, you got to be ready for the food bank. You got to be ready for the blessing box. You got to be ready for your ministry. Matt, you got to be ready for yours. Aaron, you know what? You may not be, but you're part of it. I'm excited about Sunday school. I'm excited about new teachers. I'm excited about a lot of things. But we got to keep focused on God. Because if we take our eyes off God, then we're going to look to ourselves, and then that's where we mess up. That's where we messed up in the past. But we're not going to do that anymore. You know, I used to not like contemporary music. Because to me, all they did was take a rock and roll song or a modern country song or some kind of song like that, R&B, whatever you want to call it, and just put gospel words in it. And I just thought that was just not right. But then I realized God created music. All right? All you need is a vessel, and all He needs is a vessel to use it. So if you want to dance, if you want to sing, if you want to shout, and even if you just want to sit in the pew and just worship God your way, that's fine. Because not everybody's going to dance. Not everybody's going to get excited like you. You know? I mean, Sis gets excited. I'm just calm. I mean, what you don't see is the spirit within me, and I get pretty excited. You know what? I'm one of those inside. I'm one of those preachers that like to spit, run, holler, shout, and all that. But I just got this barrier that I'm working on to overcome that. Because I've got a birth inside me. And I'm just waiting for it to just be exploding. And unfortunately, y'all are going to be the one that's going to have to deal with it. Okay? Yeah. So you may not want to sit on the front pew because I might start spitting more or something like that. But anyway, but I do know this. I do know if this church is going to be successful, all right, God's got to be in control of everything. I mean, from cleaning the toilets to praise and worship to behind the pulpit. We all have a value, all right? And God puts a big value in you. But it will only work if God is leading you and if God is part of it. And I don't know why I'm focusing so much on you, because y'all are so faithful when it comes to allowing God to do what you feel God wants to do in this church. But as you grow, there may be some people that come in here at first that may not understand that concept. They haven't been exposed to that. Okay, but we, as experienced, that we know that ultimately God needs to be in control. So you got to be patient with people, because we're going to encounter people that at first will not have the same thought pattern, will not have the same compassion. All right? Some may like it, some may not. But that's okay. We're not here to change their heart. That's God's job. All right? All right? You know? Why should I not do what the Lord has called me to do because someone else doesn't like it? In that case, Satan will send so many people in here that he will smother every ministry. All right? And that will only happen is if we get the attitude, well, you know what? They don't like it. I'm not going to do it. Don't take that attitude. I'm going to pray for that brother and sister. I'm going to continue with my ministry. All right? And as long as I do what God has instructed me to do, and I do it for Him, then you're great. Now, as a pastor, there may be times where I have to step in, but I don't see that. I only say that to cover myself on that one. Okay? Because with growth, you all know Satan's going to fight that with everything he's got. Right? I don't have the figure yet, but we gave a lot this year. But everything stayed the same as far as the bank book. It really is. And that's because of you. Y'all want to give. You want to bless people. You want that ministry to be birthed out of this church. But none of us did it for our own recognition. We all did it because that's what we felt God led us to do.
It's His house.
It is. I mean, it's I don't know, there's only a handful, probably even less than that, can remember what this church used to look like. But I'm not even worried. I'm not even concerned about the outward appearance. What about the heart of it? What about the soul of it? That's what counts. I mean, white paint can hide anything. New carpet can cover up old things. But with God, you don't have to cover anything up. And that's what we need here. We need to be able to, you know what? I had a bad day. I had a bad week. All right? I didn't study. I didn't pray. I didn't practice my music. Whatever the case may be. I didn't study for my Sunday school lesson. Or forget it. You've come into a place where, you know what? That was yesterday. That was last week. Today, I'm starting new, and I'm going to praise God until He comes. Obviously, we're going to get down. All right? Obviously, you're going to get down. You're going to get beaten. You're going to get sick. Things are going to happen. But Angie, you better lift me up. Sister Deborah, you better lift me up. You better find a way to get me over this. Because that's what we do. That's what this church will be known for. And the good thing about it is if I ask Angie, or if I ask Sister Deborah, or if I ask Sister Debbie, or whoever, the first thing they're going to do is go to the Lord. Lord, what you want me to do about this? Instead of, you know what, I'm going to turn YouTube on and see if I can find something that I can help Brother Robert relate to. You know, bypass YouTube and go straight to God. Now, don't get me wrong, YouTube's great. All right? But I'm telling you, God is even better. All right? Because if YouTube is such a great tool for God, then you know what? I would just plug in a sermon and let y'all watch it. We could have T.D. Jake this week. We could have Kenneth Copeland next week. We could have Jesse Duplantis the next week. Jensen Franklin the week after that. But I would rather have God every day. In every service. Now, the message of my sermon this week would have been, if I decided to have preached it, inside grace, outside religion. All right, and we're going to hit it next week. But grace is inside, and grace is of God. Religion is man-made, so it deserves the outside. But so many times we look at religion and we forget about God and the grace that He's given us in our life. Just a little mini candy bar there. You get the full candy bar next week. But remember this, people, and I say this with every ounce of love that I have for you. Get ready. It's not going to be just me. It's not just going to be Sis. It's not going to be just Sister Deborah. It's going to be Angie. It's going to be Matt. It's going to be Johnny. It's going to be Tim. It's going to be every one of us, because God has set aside a time, and we're in that time. Every one of you are affected by, if not your ministry, someone that you are very close to in their ministry. None of us are exempt on this. I can look and I can see, you know what? You're affected, Sis, by John. John, you're affected by Sis's ministry. Matt, Aaron, Debbie, Johnny, Tim, Angie, Bill and Deborah, Chris. We all need each other. All right? Specialize in your ministry, but don't forget about your brothers and sisters' ministry too. All right? And don't think that Sister Deborah is going to hold all the weight of this. All right? This needs to be distributed amongst all of us. Because Sister Deborah is going to have to learn. Sister Angie is going to have to learn. Because if I learn anything about God, what I know today, God's got something new the next day that I can learn. And sometimes it's not even a day. It's a matter of minutes, hours. But you got to be prepared. John's got to have a vision. Okay, we've got one. I want 2 or 3 of those blessing boxes. Now, what kind of design can I have on that? What can stand out? And how can it bless people? Sister Angie, if she dances, you know, there's a dress or there's an outfit. There's music involved. All of that. Johnny, I mean, we've got a new music program coming up. You're going to have to learn some of that. Move forward. Chris, you've got new teachers. Guess what? Now you got to pray for those teachers. You know, it just doesn't stop with just naming someone or asking them to speak. Now you got a bigger responsibility, because now it's not just you, it's you and a permanent teacher that you have to pray for. Because now you got to, you know, have literature and you got to have material and everything like that. And if you don't watch it, even Satan can step into that little area. We've got to guard ourselves. Not to the point where we're paranoid, but we've got to guard ourselves. Matt, the programs that you buy, that you use, the music that you choose, Sis, the music that you choose, it can't just because I like it or because it's popular. It's got to be because the Lord instructed me to get that music and prepare it for the hearts of you. It's not like it used to be where you know you can pick 4 or 5 songs and let's just go with it. People's hearts, people's lives are depending on those songs to lift them up, to make them realize, you know what? This world is not hopeless. My life is worth something. Please be happy, be thankful, be joyful, but be very protective of the gift that God has given you, the ministry that He's allowed you to be in. Guard it with everything, because Satan can find, and he will find anything to disrupt that. And it's not just us, 15, 20 people. God wants to bless so many more than that through us. So many more. Matt, Your work is going to be sent out not to just these people, not just to Silsbee, Texas, or Caney Head, or Buna, or Kirbyville. It has an opportunity to go worldwide. And that's a lot of people. So what kind of impact, what kind of first impression of God do you want to represent? Angie, your praise dancing will not only be seen by just a few. God's got a purpose. It's beautiful. Debbie, don't think that, your teaching will only stay within the little children that you teach or whatever class you decide to take. Your teaching is going everywhere. God has set the standards high. We've got to meet that. And then we've got to exceed that. And it won't just be 1 or 2 hours a week. God's going to require a lot more time than that. Well, Brother Robert, I got a job. I understand that. But how far do you want to go with God? Do you want to go further in your career? Or do you want to go further with God? And I'm not here to say, jeopardize your job. That's not what I'm saying. You know what your job requires of you. All right? Count the cost and find out what God is going to require of you before you commit. Because everything has a cost. Your salvation had a cost. I just love that all of these ministries are being birthed. And I'm a part of it. I get to see it from the beginning. Before all of y'all become famous and have your own television shows or your own radio shows or your top 10 release, I can say, God allowed me to be a part of that. And I won't be jealous and I'll be proud in a godly way. And I will be more happy, not really good English there, I will be happier to see your ministry prosper. And that's what it's about. If my ministry is struggling, and Matt, your ministry is growing, I'm okay with that. Because someone else is going to be praying. My ministry will be okay. It's kind of like that song, He's God in the mountains, and He's God in the valley. No matter where you're at, God is God. All right, I rattled on enough. Actually, I don't know what it is with batteries today. Did we have some kind of cosmic thing this week that sucked the battery out of everything? This battery is dead. Sis lost battery on the mic, and Brother Bill changed the mic battery last week. That usually lasts at least 3 weeks, but he changes it every other week. I think it was just Satan just trying to step in, trying to disrupt. But you know what? I looked out there. I saw Angie praising. Saw Sister Debbie over there praising. Sister Deborah was over there praising. Tim was just being Tim. Singing, tapping his feet, bobbing his head. Mr. Johnny made it through his special. Great job, matter of fact. I really enjoyed it. That song, I just moved out from Mom and Dad's house, making it on my own, and me and a schoolmate decided to live together. Well, his dad was a pastor and had a church and everything like that, so got involved in the youth and everything like that, and we decided as a youth group we were going to sing that song, okay? And I don't know about you, a bunch of teenage boys, and girls singing that song, not knowing how to sing really yet. Y'all know how I can't sing. Well, they're just as bad as me. We decided we were going to sing that in a Baptist church. And bless those Baptist people. They were, they were so thankful and they enjoyed it so immensely. But I saw the recording and it was horrible. We needed Brother Johnny singing it then. But you know what? You look at back then, and if I would have gave up then, where would I be today? Just think, if you give up today because of what happened this week, where are you going to be next week? A year from now.